Hey guys, it's Edwin here, and today we're going to talk about guilt-tripping behavior in relationships. We've all been guilt-tripped in one way or the other by our friends, our parents, our colleagues, our partners, or even some of us have engaged in guilt-tripping behavior either like unknowingly or knowingly. Guilt-tripping is also quite common in most religious settings that push people to act or behave in a certain manner by making them feel guilty about something. So guilt trip is basically like a form of manipulation where someone uses guilt to make the other person feel bad or to make the other person change their behavior. Guilt is a powerful motivator of human behavior, and that's why it can be used as a great tool to influence how others think, feel, and behave. In most cases, someone guilt trips you using something they already know you feel guilty about. For example, like in toxic relationships, a toxic person will use guilt to supply their needs or just to escape responsibility and taking ownership for what they've done by inducing these feelings of guilt to the other person. And as a result, the other person will then be afraid to ask questions or raise genuine concerns because every time they raise a genuine concern, it gets used against them. To put it simply, you've been guilt tripped if someone has ever made you feel bad about something you've done or not done, and then you give in to doing something they want. So, what are some types and examples of guilt tripping behavior? The first example is called moral guilt. This is when someone tries to influence your decision or behavior by stating that it's immoral or bad and that theirs is superior. This mostly happens in parent-child relationship where a parent will tell you that that thing you are doing is not right with no apparent reason at all, simply because their opinion is far much superior than yours and you have to respect it. So they just tell you that that thing is not right, but they don't have any basis of why the thing you are or why they are saying that way. It's just because they are far much superior and you have to respect their opinion. It's quite a common one. They just toy with your with morality. Another example of guilt tripping behavior is where someone elicits sympathy from you. This is where someone plays victim so that you feel sympathetic and do something for them. This mostly happens in narcissistic relationships where like a narcissist will talk about how you've harmed them and what you've done to them. Like, let's say you ask genuine questions, but they might just deflect that and say that you have triggered some childhood trauma deep within me, which makes you really feel bad about what you've done. And once you feel bad about it, you'll find yourself doing something to try to correct the bad you've done. The other example is guilt tripping behavior. It can also be used as a form of conflict avoidance. This is where like a guilt tripper appears to be visibly upset, but they insist that there's nothing wrong. The purpose of this is to, of course, to avoid conflict or to avoid discussing issues in a mature manner. So of course you'll feel bad about it and you'll even find yourself doing something you're not planning on doing because you just feel bad about it. But the other party has escaped conflict. Guilt tripping behavior can also be plainly used as a form of manipulation, where someone intentionally makes you feel guilty so that you do something for them even when you don't want to do it. So, what are some of the signs of guilt tripping behavior in relationships? The first one is refusal to say what's wrong but acting upset so that you'll feel guilty and think that there's something wrong you've done. The other one is, of course, silent treatment as a form of punishment. This is where like someone goes silent on you so that you'll feel bad about something you've done or not done. Another one is unclear or sarcastic statements disguised as jokes, but they make you feel bad. Another one is where someone constantly brings up or constantly reminds you of something bad you did a while back. And they might even have a list of all your mistakes, even when you'd already made amends about them in the past. So you had already made amends about those mistakes or you had already corrected those mistakes, but they still bring it up when they want you to do something for them. And then the other form of another example is where someone always suggests that you owe them something. These involve instances where like your partner might keep track on everything they've done for you, and They pull this card every time they want you to do something for them. And they might even constantly remind you of the hard work they are putting so that you feel guilty about what you are doing presently. Other sign of guilt tripping is where someone clearly passes a message across that they are not happy or they are not pleased with what you are doing by using like body language, facial expression, like, or just the tone of their voice. Also, someone might also like talk ill about you as a person or a partner. Someone might say something like, "You are such a bad person. You are such a bad child." The other sign is if someone keeps withholding affection or attention. They might withhold like physical affection, or they might withhold like sex, or just distance themselves, making you feel that you've done something so that they act that way. So, one common question which people ask is something like, is guilt tripping toxic? Yes, guilt tripping is a toxic behavior and it's a form of of emotional abuse, but not everyone who uses guilt trips is a toxic person, because all this depends on their intention. Guilt tripping becomes emotional abuse, especially if someone uses it constantly to get what they want or to make you feel bad. Guilt in itself is not a bad emotion, and it can be a great compass we can use to change some of our undesirable behaviors. Like when we feel guilty, it can motivate us to fix our mistakes and to avoid repeating the same mistakes in future. Parents, for example, may occasionally use guilt tripping to teach their children right in quotes from wrong in quotes. And in a way, it's okay. But when it comes to toxic people, they will use guilt to manipulate other people to do something for them and to supply their needs. A toxic relationship is a place where you are constantly guilt tripped, which makes you angry and resentful, as well as fearful of expressing your thoughts and opinions. This is because like a toxic person will always silence your genuine pleas or concerns by using guilt, and when they do that, it will open room for further abuse in the relationship. And guilt tripping can also be a form of gaslighting in a way, because it can distort your sense of reality and you will find it hard to differentiate between the right and the wrong things you are doing, in quotes. And the more you are guilt tripped, the more it ruins your self-esteem and your self-image. So that's why if you are constantly guilt tripped, it will greatly like affect your mental health, especially when you are in a toxic relationship. So, how do you deal with guilt tripping in relationships? Just like all forms of emotional abuse and manipulation, the best way to deal with a guilt tripper is to recognize that you are being guilt tripped and always stay grounded in your own reality of the situation. And if you genuinely feel that you've done something wrong, like from your own perspective, then correct it. But if you feel that you've done nothing wrong, then do not pay attention to what the guilt tripper is telling you. It's also good to be aware of of course, your boundaries and what's within your locus of control, because most times a manipulative person may make you feel guilty for something that is way beyond what you can humanly do. But standing up to someone who constantly guilt trips you may not be possible if you have people pleasing tendencies or if you have low self esteem. That's why the only sure way to deal with all manipulative people is to have deep sense of security within yourself, where you are so sure about everything you do and you are so sure about yourself. That's the only way to deal with these people. It's not about just learning about these things. Learning helps, but it won't take you that far. What will take you far is just getting your own deep sense of security within yourself. That's it for me today, guys. Hope you found this helpful. Feel free to subscribe and to share and comment. Until next time, see ya.